Hey everyone, welcome to another 10 minutes. I want to talk today about how to hear God clearly. Last time we spoke very much about how to see in the realm of the Spirit. Today I'm going to spend 10 minutes on how to hear God clearly. Now, let me tell you a secret. The most dangerous thing is not hearing God, it's thinking that you did when you actually didn't. I've been walking now in this ministry for nearly 20 years, and here is my best inside scoop. And this isn't from a book, this is from literal bruises, mistakes, whispers, it's from wildfires. This is for people who have basically ears to hear. I was told last time I was too close to the mic, so let me get a bit further back. This is basically for those who have ears to hear and eyes to see, but they just know that there's more. So you're not here because you can't hear God. You're actually here because somewhere inside you, you know that the sound has been a little bit blurry, right? And if that's you, just say in the chat, that's me. You just feel this. It's not clear, or maybe you're just going through seasons where it's high and then it's low, when you trust God and you don't trust God. I want to give you some top tips. Number one, God's voice isn't the first sound, it's the last sound standing. God's voice isn't the first sound, it's the last sound standing. God doesn't compete with chaos, He outlasts it. That's why Psalm 46 says, "Be still and know that I am God." You're looking for the first word in a storm, but God's voice is the last word when everything else falls silent. It's why you see Jesus, when the disciples are like, "Can you not that we panic?" Jesus gets up and he's probably thinking, which of these is easier to calm, these storms or these disciples? And instead of calming the disciples, he chooses to calm the storms because you can't actually hear God in the midst of chaos. And that's why the enemy wants to make life as loud as possible. And of course, you can hear God in chaos, please don't get me wrong. But you have to be able to calm the storm, the internal storm that's causing you to fear, panic, anxiety, so that you can actually access the supernatural. If anything kills access to the supernatural, it's the spirit of fear. So God won't shout over your anxiety. He'll wait for it to die. The still small voice wasn't still. It was still there after the wind, after the earthquake were gone, that Elijah experienced. And that's how you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is God. He allows your feelings, he outlasts your confusion. He outlasts your echo chamber. He's the voice that lingers in you long after the storm has passed. Number two, the frequency of God travels on the highway of humility. The higher you go in pride, the weaker your prophetic signal. God doesn't shout across ego, He whispers to the broken. And that's why most people don't hear God. They're too busy broadcasting to receive. So you want to hear him, you've got to lower the noise. And then you got to lower the noise floor of your soul, right? Silence your ambition, mute your opinions, turn down the volume of needing to be right. Only and only then can you hear the whisper of God speaking to you. Here's number three. God's voice sounds like conviction before it sounds like comfort. Most people, when it comes to hearing the voice of God, say, well, if it's God, I'll feel comforted. God's voice sounds like conviction before it sounds like comfort. My spiritual mother says it like this: you are God's favorite person to talk to you about. And most people want to hear God for other people, but they don't want to hear God for themselves. And before his voice comforts you, it actually deeply convicts you. So God's voice never flatters, it actually fractures, then it forms. You know, the Bible says the voice of the Lord breaks the cedars of Lebanon. So God's voice never flatters before it fractures. And then once it's fractured, then it forms. He told Samuel to deliver a hard word before he ever got a soft one. He broke Ezekiel before he sent Ezekiel. Isaiah said, I'm undone in the presence of God. Jeremiah said, what did you do to me? I'm a man of unclean lips. You placed your word in my heart like fire, shut up in my bones, and I grew weary of holding you back. Prophets don't speak because they have a voice. They speak because they've survived the sound of God correcting them. The voice that corrects you is the one that can be trusted to correct others. Let me say it again. The voice that corrects you is the voice that can be trusted to correct others. If it doesn't correct you first, please don't trust it to correct other people. Most prophets I know today can hear God for everybody else, but it just is amazing to me how God bypasses many of our attitudes on the way to reaching other people. So God reaches you first, burns you first, touches your lips first, convicts you first before he sends you, right? Number four, most people hear from God, then add a commentary. This is a common mistake in the prophetic. They mix it, they pollute it, they package it, and they edit it. They don't lie, they simply embellish. And the moment you add your bitterness to a word or your preference to a dream, you've tampered with divine evidence. God's voice is pure oxygen. Breathe anything else with it, and it becomes poison. That's why the greatest test of a prophet isn't in hearing, it's in not actually tampering. Number five, hearing is a skill, but clarity is a crucifixion. I can train your ears really easy. And people don't like me saying that. They think, how can you train prophets? You can't train prophets. God trains the prophets. Not necessarily true. Just like you train pastors, you train evangelists, you must train prophets. And we got to become okay with this. Before I die, it's my mission to make sure that the church is actually comfortable with the training of the prophets. Why? Because long before there were schools of theology, the first schools in the Bible was the schools of the prophets, right? And so say, well, you don't need a school. And true, you don't need a school. Nobody actually needs a school. But you are grateful for school. You're grateful that you're trained. You're grateful that you're equipped because you make a lot less mistakes. I can train your ears, but only the altar can kill your filters. You don't need accuracy. Many of us need death. Death to self, death to bias. Oh, death to political bias. My God, that's a big one. To pain, death to offense. Because when your pain is loud, God sounds like your pain. When your offense is loud, God sounds like your offense. And if you want to know if it's God, here's your test. Did it crucify you before it confirmed you? Because God's voice kills long before it resurrects. Number six, the devil's voice is loud because his throne is empty. The devil shouts because he lacks presence. God whispers because God is present. God doesn't need to shout because he's near to you. If he shouts, be worried. Oh, I just want you to shout at me, God. Who says that? I just want you to shout. I want you to be loud and clear. That's the Old Testament. God thundered, according to the book of Hebrews, chapter 12. But we're no longer on that mountain. We're now on Mount Sinai, not Zion, sorry, not Mount Sinai. We're called to the voice of the still small voice. That means we have a Emmanuel, God with us. So stop waiting for chills and goosebumps. Sometimes God speaks in the middle of the ordinary because he is the only one who can make the ordinary sacred. Number seven, hearing God is not a gift, it's an inheritance. Every believer can hear, but not every believer knows the frequency, because you only find the frequency when you stop changing the station. God won't talk over your scrolling. He won't compete with your timeline. He's ancient, he's patient, and he'll let silence become your teacher. I want to invite you all to an opportunity to be part of something quite dynamic that's happening in just a few days from now. I'm inviting a couple of you, a couple of thousand of you, to a time of impartation with me to get inside the room for a prophetic accelerator that you are not going to want to miss. We're literally a few days away from this accelerator, and we've got about 1,600 registered. So that means we've only got a few spaces left. But I want to invite you that are watching right now who are saying, wow, this is really powerful. I want to learn more. I want to know more. July 17th to July 19th is the prophetic accelerator. It's going to be an awesome time, and it's free. There is no charge. And that's what scares me. When there's no charge, people tend to take things like this for granted. They tend to say, well, you know what, maybe I'll just watch it online. There's something about the prophetic that can only be caught by contact. No contact, no contract. Now, who's going to be your teachers? Of course, I'm going to be your teacher. Apostle Henderson is coming. He is the amazing seer, prophet, apostle who wrote the book Courts of Heaven, and he's going to be teaching fundamentally on that. And my wife is going to be teaching as well. Not only that, but those in attendance will get access to a permanent Grid University student learning portal where you will get to watch back your courses, watch back your training, and have access to learning from your own student learning portal. We are looking to turn this university into an accredited university. So for those of you who become a part of this, you will be the first to move into that accreditation, which will also come, by the way, with learning courses for you who are looking to get into the job market as well. I hope this has blessed you tremendously. Please let us know in the comments below. If you come into the accelerator, there is also an online link, and there is, of course, childcare, but childcare is $25 if you want your child to receive childcare. But get inside the room, be a part of what is happening, and we can't wait to see you there at Prophetic Accelerator. God bless. Take care.